Namaste and welcome to Live, Love, Engage. I am Gloria Grace Rand, and today I've got a guest on the show who is going to talk to us about growing a business. Well, a little bit. She's got a lot of experience in that, but more importantly, dealing with haters. And because I know if you have been involved in social media at all, or just in any other aspect of life, sometimes there are people out there who are not too nice. And Sharon Bolt is our guest today, and she has some experience in that subject. So first off, welcome to Live, Love, Engage, Sharon.
Namaste, Gloria. It's so lovely to be here with you.
Oh, well, thank you. And for those of you who are listening, I live in the United States, but Sharon is coming to us all the way from lovely England. I'm so grateful that she's just finishing her lunch and I just finished my breakfast. But isn't it wonderful that with Zoom, we can do these things? So it's awesome. So let me tell you, our listeners and viewers on YouTube, a little bit about Sharon. She is known as the mindset media expert. She helps business owners and entrepreneurs to get ongoing publicity so they can get in front of thousands or even millions of their dream clients as the go-to authority in their niche. She also focuses on helping them to change their limiting beliefs, sabotaging behaviors, and negative expectations so they can attract the best media opportunities and feel confident and reach their full potential. And she's able to do this because she has experience as an entrepreneur. She's been a business owner for over 19 years. She's done things like complementary therapy. She's done dog training and PR work, and she's been on a lot of media. She's been seen in TV, I've been on radio shows, national, local newspapers, and what have you, and even a regular contributor to entrepreneur.com. And she's an author too. She's written a couple books and been featured on BBC TV in a couple programs. So we may get into that as we go on. But the one thing that intrigued me when I first met Sharon through Facebook was the fact that she got onto a radio show to talk about a new business that she hadn't even launched yet, and then had to deal with some haters. So tell us a little bit, tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about that story of how you got onto BBC Radio, pitching this idea, because I think that'll be fascinating for our listeners.
Well, it actually started because I had my complementary therapy practice. So I helped people with bad backs, with limiting beliefs, with digestive disorders, fears and phobias. So that was really what my business was. And I had a thriving practice and everything was good. And then I'd got these two puppies, these two Parson Russell Terrier puppies. They were 8 weeks old. And I was told by so many dog trainers it was the worst case scenario, that they would fight for the top dog position, that it'd get really nasty. I'd have to rehome one. And they would literally do what they wanted. And I remember, Gloria, just looking at these two little puppies. And I said literally out loud, you two are not going anywhere. And I was on a mission. I was on a mission to keep both puppies. You know, how could you choose? It's like a child, isn't it? You can't choose.
Mm-mm.
So I was on this mission, and it was about a year into this time, and I was having great results with my little puppies, now dogs, and so much so that I started to introduce to my complementary therapy practice people who had dogs. I started to do consultations with them. So I had no website, I had no subscribers, I didn't have anything like that, but I just had this dream. I wanted to now transition. My passion had changed. It wasn't that I particularly want to change the world with complementary therapies any longer. I wanted to focus on dogs. Well, actually, it was actually the owners I focused on. So it
That's true.
Still them.
Absolutely.
So I had this dream. I had this pipe dream. You know, how was I going to get known? How was I going to transition? And then this one day, I was listening to a national radio station here in the UK. It was BBC Radio 2. They have over 6 million listeners. And I heard them say that they were looking to get a dog training expert on the show the following week. And they said that they was going to get somebody from the TV.
Okay.
And I thought, you know what? I could do that. I could absolutely do that. I know that I haven't got a business, but I was so passionate and I was getting great results. And I just thought, I'm going to go for it. So I sat down and I wrote this email just to the general website address for BBC Radio 2 for the show. Nothing happened. So I carried on listening, and bear in mind, it was about 5-6 days later that they were going to do this feature. And it was the next day or two, they spoke about overweight dogs, and they called them podgy dogs. So I thought, well, I can talk about nutrition for dogs. I know all about that. So in the subject line this time, Gloria, I wrote, podgy dogs, I'm your girl. I knew that would get them to open it. You know, it was the show was humorous. And so I knew that was sure to get them to open it. And still I got nothing back. And then the third day, it was the Friday, and I was going to do I think it was on the Friday, I did a consultation for somebody, and it was about a lady who had 2 dogs, and when she went to work, they were literally eating the house from the inside out. They'd eaten the cushions of the sofa, the carpet, the mattress in the bed. It was horrendous.
Oh, man.
So I went in and I changed things around. I explained why it happened and the plan of action. So when I came home over the weekend, I wrote another email about that, explaining why it happened. And I sent that off. Well, the Monday morning, the researchers called me. They said, oh, this sounds really good. Anyway, 2 days later, I was sitting in the BBC studios up in London, speaking live to over 6 million listeners as a dog training expert. And yeah, I had the passion. I believed I could make a difference. I had something to give, but I didn't have any of the credibilities or even a website.
That is just amazing. So what was the reaction? I mean, later, even I can even imagine, because I used to produce a business television show, but I'm wondering, what did the people even at the station think about this afterwards? And was anybody surprised and shocked that it's like, okay, we put this woman on, but she doesn't have this, huge background, even though she has good ideas.
Wow, you may already know this, having the insights, Gloria, because they weren't interested in me. This is a big thing for for business owners to know, and not to get offended by this, because journalists are not interested in you. They're not interested in your background, how long you've been in business, that you're a family business. They don't want to know any of that. They just want to know that you have some great content, you've got the answers, and you can educate and entertain their audience. So not once was I even asked how long I'd been in business. So nobody knew. And I always remember walking out of the studios, and it was all very high security and everything. And the researcher escorted me out of the building. And he said, Sharon, that was great. Your pace and tone was great, that you did a great job. Thank you so much. And he was the one actually that then mentioned that there was millions of listeners. I hadn't even gone there. I just knew that if I'd have done that, I'd have been frightened. So I had set out an intention before I went on the show that it was going to be great. I was going to meet lovely people, and they were going to be really lovely to me. And I was just going to sit there chatting to an old friend over the table as if we was having coffee. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh, that's perfect. And that is so important, because I've definitely learned about this. And I've heard about it, but even in the last year, I've really been working at the power of setting intentions are so important to really, visualize what it is that you want the outcome to be, and then not having an attachment to it either, which I'm sure you probably didn't. You just went out and just said, okay, this is me. And you let everything materialize the way you had envisioned it.
Absolutely. Yes. And I was there to have fun. I was going to enjoy it. It was going to be a great opportunity. That was my mindset. And I played, wouldn't it, what I call it is this game I play, wouldn't it be lovely if? Not that wouldn't it be awful if that went wrong, and what's
Right.
if somebody asked you that question. No, this is the wouldn't it be lovely if game that I play. And that's what keeps me focused.
I love it. But you did run into some people who were not as thrilled with you, I guess. So tell us a little bit about your experience with, haters,
Yes.
as
Well,
people call
as I
them.
said, they escorted me out of the building. The BBC were really pleased with the interview. I came walking down. In fact, I was skipping down the streets of London, high-fiving the air, and I was just, wow, that was great. And then I came home. I was on a high, and then that evening, a friend said, "Oh, did you know that that people have been and saying certain things about you on some forums?" And so it came to light that, yes, and not because people knew that I had no expertise per se, that I hadn't been in business for X amount of years. It wasn't because of that. It was because nobody could really know that. But it was more about, the way I spoke. They were saying that my voice, so it was got quite personal, that who I sounded like, and that I didn't really know that's right. They said that I was teaching old dog training methods that was no longer valid. And it was just, a number of threads that was just ridiculing me and just being mean.
Yeah, people can be that way, and it is. So you have to learn to have a tough skin, I guess. But how did you handle it? What did you do about it? Think about it, or did you just say, you know what, that's their problem?
Well, it did knock my confidence, Gloria, for sure, because I was on this high. I hadn't even considered that there would be people that would be saying anything to the contrary of how it was. I did a good interview. The BBC had said that it was great, so I had no even consideration that it would be anything other. So it really knocked my confidence. And I just felt like I'd done something wrong. I felt quite small, and I did think to myself, do you know what, this would just be easier to stay small, stay under the radar. I'm not going to get judged and criticized, because that hurts. And I'm, that would be so much easier. So I just actually sat with it really for probably 2 or 3 days. And then I think it was on that third day I woke up and I thought, hang on a minute, just hang on 1 minute here. Why would I let people that I don't even know hold me back from my dream? Why would I even consider letting that happen? And that was it. That was the turning point for me. And I thought, you know what? Not everybody's going to like everybody. Not everyone's going to pat you on the back. And yeah, okay, so I pushed some buttons for people. Maybe they were dog trainers that would have liked that opportunity. Maybe it was somebody that wasn't a dog trainer but would have liked to have been a dog trainer who has an opinion on that. Everyone has an opinion. That's just how it is. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to stand up. I'm going to dust myself off. I'm going to hold my head up high, and I'm going for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is so important, because that really is an important lesson for people in life in general, but definitely for entrepreneurs, is that not everybody is going to want to buy what you have to sell. And that's okay. You have to learn to be able to accept that and know that there are people out there who do want what you have and who are going to like you. And just the key is to really like yourself. It sounds like you probably, tapped back into the coaching that you would do for other clients. You had to kind of go back and coach yourself a little bit, right?
Absolutely, I did. That is so true. I did. I had to then start working again with my belief patterns. And the other thing that I really realized, Gloria, is that I'm not going to wait for somebody else to validate me. I'm
Mm.
not going to wait for somebody to tell me it's okay for me to do what I want. I'm going to be the one who says that. I'm going to validate myself. And that's all I can ever do, even if it's close friends and family. Even my husband, who was absolutely terrified of the fact that I was going to be interviewed on national radio when I had no prior media experience and no business. So
Mm.
I understand, I get that would put a few people out of their comfort zones. And I thought, do you know what? That is not going to hold me back. This is my passion. This is my dream. This is what I want to do. And I'm going for it.
Awesome. And then you wound up, so you wound up becoming then a dog trainer, right? And how long did you do that? How many years were you doing that? Or are you still even doing some of that work?
Well, the great thing was, Gloria, is that one interview. Now, bearing in mind, I wasn't set up at all. So I had a page. I quickly developed a page on my complementary therapy website.
Mm-hmm.
But truthfully, I got no business at all from that interview. And so obviously I tell people today, always try and set up and get set up if you can. However, don't miss out on an opportunity. That was a one-off opportunity. If I hadn't gone for that I haven't been aware of that opportunity coming up again. So you have to take that opportunity, and your website doesn't have to be perfect or anything, but ideally, in an ideal world, you would be set up.
Sure.
But one thing that it really did do for me is, because it was national media, on my marketing, I was put in as heard on BBC Radio. It opened doors for me. It launched and was such an easy transition for me into my dog training business. Now that would be about 14 years ago now. And it was because I then continued to get so much media attention that business owners were saying to me, what are you doing? How do you do it? And so I started to create courses on publicity. So that was a very easy, smooth transition too. And nowadays, what happens is I've created dog training online courses, and they sell all over the world. And then I also have my publicity business too, and my publicity courses.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. And I think that's something also important to let people know, that you can have two passions, and you can serve people in different ways. Because I know that's something that I had been wrestling with, frankly, for about the last couple of years, because for the longest time, I was just focused on doing copywriting, writing content for businesses for their websites. And yet there's been this other side of me that wants to do more like coaching and things like that. And I even got into doing some health coaching. So trying to figure out, well, how do I fit these all in together? And do I give up one and focus on the other? And I finally realized, you know what? It's okay. I can actually coach people. And then if they need help with their website, I have that tool in my toolbox to offer them.
It's perfect. It goes hand in hand for you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
as well, what I found with my business is, obviously, because mine was so different, dog training and publicity, it was, it was a B2C business and a B2B business. So it was a very different target market and everything. So I initially focused, and that's when the early days when I was so passionate about the dog training, and I was getting so much media success that I was creating the courses. I hired a production company, and we created 4 dog training DVDs, and also a DVD for people who wanted to become a professional dog trainer. So they were already up and running. And then, of course, from those DVDs, I had all of the sections sectioned off, so I could then create the online courses. So that takes care of itself now. I really don't have to focus much on that. That's a really lovely passive income business for me. I did all the work up front, and now I focus predominantly on my publicity business and with business owners and entrepreneurs.
That's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about that. So how do you work with people? Do you do you work with all types of entrepreneurs, or just Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do with all business owners and entrepreneurs, just people that want to get visible, people that want to be able to stand out from the crowd. Okay, we can be on Facebook and we can be on Instagram and places like that, but getting publicity puts you on a whole different level of credibility. It's like the media are endorsing you. It's very, very powerful. So yes, I work with entrepreneurs and business owners. I have an 8-week course that I do with people, and I'm just about to release. I haven't got it all completely finished yet, but I'm actually going to start to have an elite program where I'm just going to work with a very small elite number of people. And these will be, obviously business owners and entrepreneurs that really want to go for it. And I'm going to personally do their publicity for them. I've been asked so many times to do this, and I've always said, the time's not right. I'm busy with other things.
Yeah.
But this year, that's when I'm going to start to do that.
Oh, good. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Because
Thank you.
It's stepping up in a bigger way for yourself. So good for you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit. Let's see, because we've covered a lot of stuff because you're a very versatile woman. But is there anything maybe one thing that most people do not know about you?
Well, I think because obviously people know me for dog training, they know me for the publicity. Some people don't know anything about my complementary therapy business. And I think that one thing that people are quite shocked about is that I actually, in those days when I was very much into the self-development, I still am, to be honest with you, Gloria, I love all of that. But I went on a 4-week spiritual pilgrimage across India.
Oh, wow.
And it was just phenomenal. It was like that Planes, Trains and Automobiles program. And we stayed in ashrams and we stayed in 5-star hotels. And it was just totally phenomenal. There was about 75 of us, of therapists. We were all therapists.
Okay.
And it was all organized and everything. And that actually was the turning point for me. I came home and I had always wanted to stay quite small, with my complementary therapy business. I didn't want to get publicity. It was a thriving business. It was all word of mouth. I never advertised. It was really good. And I got a good income from it. And it was all good. I wasn't wanting to change. It was all working well. And then I came home from this spiritual pilgrimage. And then suddenly I wanted to get out there. I wanted to go big. And I thought it was about complementary therapies at the time. Little did I know it was going to be about dog training, but I just followed my intuition and my passion. And this is where it's taken me.
Oh, that's amazing. I would love to do something like that. That sounds like it was a phenomenal trip. And it makes perfect sense that really immersing yourself in something like that and really getting aligned with your higher self and with spirit, that it just can open up new doors for you. And so that is really, really cool.
Thank you.
Is there, well, actually, let me ask you this, because I know one of the things I teach people is about the importance of gratitude and having an attitude of gratitude. So what are you most grateful for in your life?
Do you know what? I'm so grateful of being a business owner. I'm grateful that I get up when I like, I go to bed when I like, I do what I like. I'm grateful that I'm the boss of me. I'm grateful that I can take my dog out for a walk whenever I want to. I'm just grateful that I'm in charge of my life. And I'm so grateful for all the clients that come my way and my thriving businesses. I'm just grateful for my life. I love life.
I love that. And I agree with you 100%, because I used to work for an employer for years, but owning my business now for the last 11 years, it really is wonderful to be in control of your destiny and to have the freedom to, decide to do something else. And now I'm even hearing my dog scratching on the door, but they're going to have to wait. Oh, goodness. want to ask you one other question. And has this past year we've been dealing with the pandemic and then everything, how has that impacted you? Either
Well,
you personally and or your business?
yes, I think because I had, prior to 2020, had already become everything online anyway.
Mm.
So, and I had been doing podcast interviews. Media interviews, so many, unless it is on TV where you perhaps go to the studio, although that's changed now. That was never a case because it always had to be high quality and everything.
Right.
But now, of course, now it's like sitting at home like this, like we're doing, and that's all acceptable now. So I think that's been a huge positive for 2020. But to be honest with you, it hasn't impacted me because I was online. I think had I been doing lots of dog training, home consultations, or doing one-to-ones with people and meeting them, that would have obviously affected me a lot more. But if anything, it didn't touch my business because I was already set up and I could still reach people, and people were looking, if anything, more so.
That's true.
Because there wasn't that option of meeting one-to-one with people. So they were looking for online courses. There's been a huge surge of sales increase for people that offer online courses because of the pandemic.
Very good. Well, I wanted to ask you actually two things. Number one is, if someone wants to be able to learn about you, certainly learn about either the dog training courses or the publicity side of your business, what is the best way for people to reach you?
Well, if they want to learn about the dog training, my website is good-dogs.co.uk. And if they'd like to know more about the publicity business, and there's a free training. So if people would like more from what we've been able to cover here today, there's a free training, free webinar for people on my website they can sign up for. And that website is getfreepublicitytoday.com. That's all one word, getfreepublicitytoday.com.
All right. Awesome. Well, I will have that information in the show notes. So if you're listening and don't have a pen handy, I will have that for you, so you'll be able to get that information. And I am really glad that we were able to connect and to share your story with our listeners and viewers today. I really had a pleasure talking with you. Is there any other last minute bit of advice or anything you would like to impart? Any other last parting words?
Yes, certainly. I'd like to give a publicity tip to people. We've spoken a lot about mindset, so I'm going to give a publicity tip to people. So I'm going to tell you what the number one the worst thing as a business owner or entrepreneur, the biggest mistake we can make when we're trying to pitch wherever it is we want to, whether it be newspapers, magazines, or whether it be anything online, is when you do the pitch, always make it all about them. So it's how you can help them, what you can do for them, how you can educate and entertain their audience, not about you. That's what people get wrong. They start talking about them, their credentials, how long they've been in business, that type of thing. And as I said earlier, the journalists are not interested. So unless you get their attention and tick their boxes, because their job is to give good content, is to give education and entertainment to their audience. So who you are is very much secondary to what you can offer them. So always make it all about them and how you can help them, and you're very much secondary from that.
Absolutely. That is absolutely spot on advice, because I periodically, at least a couple of times a week, will get these emails from people saying, "Oh, great guest idea for Live, Love, Engage." It's like, okay, that's nice. But, I'm more interested in, as you say, is what is the guest going to teach or tell me about? Well, how is it going to benefit me? I don't, necessarily I'm going to just take you because you're, you say that you're wonderful, but what exactly do you have to offer? It's remembering with him, what's in it for me. And that's me, not you.
That's it.
Not the pitcher, but the pitchee, I guess you could say. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Sharon. I really appreciate you sharing all of your wonderful advice. Oh, you know what? I'm going to pick your brain one other time, though.
Sorry, excuse me.
I know. Yeah. Do you have any water? Do you want to take a drink of water?
I have. I will just take a quick sip.
Do that for one. Yeah. Because as an owner of 2 dogs, and I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there, do you have either one mistake dog owners make or one tip that dog owners make or can do?
Yes, I absolutely do. The thing to remember, when we give attention to our dogs, we are rewarding our dog for whatever that behavior is. Mm-hmm. So whether it's good attention or bad attention, indifferent attention, we are rewarding our dogs. And so often we're giving attention to dogs when they're doing something, a behavior we don't want them to do. So wherever you can, if it's an unwanted behavior, if it's possible, ignore it. Give them nothing for that behavior. So walk away, walk in the other room. And then when they're doing the behavior that you want them to do, just fuss them. With my dog, we have a rescue dog now because my 2 little puppies grew up and sadly they're now in doggy heaven. And, with the 2 puppies that we had and our rescue dog now, I'm constantly telling him what a good boy is when he's calm and relaxed. He's not doing anything. He's just calm and relaxed. So I'm praising him for that state of mind. So always give attention to your dog when you want to encourage the behavior and state of mind that your dog is in.
Okay. I have to remember that because I do. My dogs sometimes do like to bark and sometimes it just starts to really drive me crazy. And then I, yell at them to stop barking and that isn't helping. So yes, dog training is really training the owner.
Yeah, that's my USP in dog training is I really focus on the dog owner first. I say to people, dogs are easy. It's the owners that I need to focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thanks for being here today.
It's my pleasure. It's been so lovely chatting to you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, my pleasure, Sharon. Absolutely. And thank you who has been out there who are listening and watching. I appreciate you. And as I close the program today, as always, I encourage you to go out there and live fully, love deeply, and engage